Hello and welcome to yet another edition of CSO Alert, your weekly roundup of all things important in the world of cybersecurity. Today's edition marks the 50th episode of CSO Alert. And to make this episode special, we have on board Shubhamangala Sunil, the founder and chairperson of the Global Cybersecurity Response Team. Our second panelist, Mr. Sandeep Panda, is the Bangalore chapter's head of the Cloud Security Alliance, as well as the co-founder and CEO of InstaSafe. Now, Shubhamangala is also a National Cyber Safety and Security Standards Technical Committee member. She is responsible for framing the syllabus around cybersecurity for the National Law School of India University, and she is also responsible for giving a lot of consultancy and advice to organizations and government entities. Our second panelist, Sandeep, heads the Bangalore chapter of the world's best-known entity dedicated to raising awareness and developing best practices around secure cloud computing, the Cloud Security Alliance. Shubha, Sandeep, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, sir.
In this edition, we're actually going to bring one of the most persistent migraines that's plaguing the cybersecurity space, and that's the looming skill gap that's experienced in organizations and the government. Now, our panelists here today have observed the cybersecurity space up close, and they can give us a very holistic picture on what can be done to bridge the skill gap both at the government and the enterprise level. Now, to start with, we've seen a whole lot of research reports and we've heard literally horror stories about the looming crisis situation that's resulting from the skill gap in cybersecurity. Now, how much of this actually holds true in the Indian enterprise and the government? So, Sandeep, if you could give us a picture from the enterprise point of view.
While we are having a crisis at a practitioner's level, at solving problems level, we are also seeing a lot of ethical researchers or hackers or those people who want to go and test out an application where India is the world's largest first or second at multiple cyber bug bounty platform reports and independently published reports. Right. So what I wish to share here is that what we are now seeing is, while on the one side at the organized trade industry level, we are seeing multiple challenges in terms of certification, in terms of organized approach to cybersecurity compliance, threat detection, incident response and governance. We are seeing a huge amount of ethical hacker community which is really curious to go and try out. So point is, I think if you can build a bit of structure around that, the talent is already available. Right. The talent is resilient. They're trying a bunch of things out. It's just about seeing that how can industry adopt to that. Bug bounty platforms, ethical researcher platforms are coming up in a big way. Adversarial approaches to solving the cybersecurity problem is seeing a lot of adoption of late. And I think it is sooner than later we should see some kind of a practical answer.
Absolutely. Now, Shubha, you've worked with in close accordance with government entities. What has been your observation? Are they there yet, or is the skill gap really, really wide?
As we all know, we do have a skill gap yet. We are not having a bridge which is being constructed between the youngsters who are coming out from their engineering or the degrees, whatever the stream they are learning in, with the availability of the industry career space, what they know. And in this space, I feel that government has to take a step saying that for all the youngsters, for all the people who want to get into the cyberspace, there need to be an awareness program given out.
Absolutely. Now, Shubha, you brought an interesting point into the limelight when you talked about training. Now, we've seen that organizations and governments around the globe are steadily spending more and more on cybersecurity budgets. We've seen a steady rise over the years. Now, how much of that is actually being spent in training the workforce? And if you could also highlight the role that entities like the Cloud Security Alliance or the GCSRT can play.
Yeah, so Cloud Security Alliance was formed with the intention of setting up standards and raising awareness globally. Mm-hmm. And it follows a very interesting volunteer community-led approach. Mm-hmm. We have chapters in India, in Bangalore, in Mumbai, in Delhi, a couple of other cities like Chennai, Coimbatore and all. And the first thing there happens is to even start at a level of awareness of what is the importance of cloud computing and cybersecurity related matters. Mm-hmm. And then what's more interesting is that probably these are the finest vendor neutral, vendor agnostic, generic certifications available mm-hmm. for people to avail there, right? So as budgets continue to rise, there are multiple types of budgets in the cyber industry. One is the process related, people, process and technology, right? So these people need to understand the process related, where we have different types of audit kind of certifications. Then comes the specific technology related certifications. Large vendors have their own certification programs, which companies organize their staff to go and get trained so that they can manage the technology along with the process that they have internally. But more importantly, then again, third thing comes is how do we have agnostic, vendor neutral, at a technological level of awareness, so that they are able to deal with all types of attack threat vectors and are able to react to breach situations.
Right. And if you could highlight the role that the global cybersecurity response team plays, how do you help bridging the talent gap?
Yes, of course. With GCSAT, what we are doing is we are having a couple of certifications which has been designed by us, which we are doing since 9 years now. Irrespective of the level of the audience, we are training them. And when it comes to the domain, we are the people who have divided the syllabus according to our audience. Me being the ambassador from United States, I'm taking care of Asian countries on the cybercrime. So what we are doing is whenever we see that the new kind of cybercrime which has been exploded, whether it is a malware, whether it is a virus, whether it is a modus operandi's way, how they handle to go ahead and commit the crime, we are going ahead and educating the respective domain responsible people, the security engineers or whoever so it is, to give them an heads up saying that what is that they can expect in coming 10 or 12 days or in a month's time. And with the government, especially with Karnataka and the different governments, we started building the syllabus for respective projects, whatever they are having with the PMKY project or Kaushal Kar projects or so many other projects, whichever it is running now. We have started building the syllabus for them and training them. Till today in Karnataka with Kionix, we have trained more than 2,000 guys, especially on the cyberspace, only in Karnataka. Now we have started with the rest of the states also.
Right. Now the next question goes out to both of you, Shubha and Sandeep. We've seen an increased focus on cyber forensics in India, and we've seen a lot of security research as well. But what we haven't quite seen is an industry-government collaboration. So do you think it's time that the industry and the government needs to start collaborating and stop working in silos?
Yeah, as you know that for forensics, whether it is entrepreneurs or the MNC companies, what we are having in India, or the government, we need to have a collaboration between them. Because when it is the forensics, we are having the advanced tools which are being used. It can be a SOC team, what I'm talking about, because most of the MNC organizations in India, they are maintaining their own in-house SOC team, Security Operations Center SOC teams, which they will be monitoring the incoming and outgoing traffics. At the same time, whether it is in a state-wise or a central-wise, we need to have one Security Operations Center with an advanced forensics tools used in the government also. But having a collaboration, the one advantage what it goes is, they can go ahead and share the vulnerabilities what they are noticing, whether it is in the entrepreneurs or with the government.
Sure, I think a bunch of activities are already in progress, and we have seen some good traction too. So recently the Karnataka government launched the Center of Excellence, where it invited both early stage companies or growth led companies from India as well as international led companies along with consultants. So it is all about building that Center of Excellence, which will eventually blossom out to what we wish is a very good public and private partnership. At other levels, we see the Andhra Pradesh government, the Telangana government taking a lot of interest in cybersecurity related evangelism. We see multiple other forward-looking states, be it Delhi, Gujarat, Maharashtra, Tamil Nadu, or Kerala for that matter. They just recently launched one more initiative.
Absolutely. Now, coming to the next question around GDPR. Now, Sandeep, we have seen a lot of Indian organizations are going to be directly impacted with GDPR coming into effect. Now, from your experience, of working with several companies, several organizations, how ready do you think Indian organizations are when it comes to meeting the GDPR deadline?
Yeah, just a couple of weeks. There's a lot of noise on GDPR compliance. I think for the first time, we are seeing such widespread level of impact that is globally going to affect every company that is doing international trade, right? Yes, GDPR itself is evolving. There are a bunch of controls that have been declared. Enforcement and penalty was pre-declared, but how are we going to do it? How are we going to govern it? And how are we really going to know that if the data controllership and the data usage of GDPR compliance requirements are being met or not? Time will speak.
All right. That gets me to the next question around governance and compliance. A lot of that a lot of governance and compliance issues have been brought into the limelight. Now, how can organizations ensure that the governance and compliance drive is sustained over the long run, and what role can your organizations play in ensuring that the drive is carried on?
With the Global Cybersecurity Response Team, we are assisting each of the domain people with their CSOs or the people who are supposed to get trained on how they need to carry on these things, because it's a journey. It's not a one-day training what we can go ahead and finish with them. It's a journey with them. We need to sit with them, and we are doing it. We are sitting with them for a journey of 3 or 4 months or 6 months, making them to understand why these are the things which have been brought up by the government for them, for the compliance and the regulations part, how that need to be acted, how that will be acted on their employees, in-hold stakeholders and their clients and the customers, and what are the things they need to take care of in their in-house data or the devices or whatsoever it is.
Now, coming to the next question, there's no denying the fact that we are living in a cloud-first environment. Now, with a lot of organizations and also government entities turning towards multi-cloud environments, what security challenges do you see arising when it comes to operating in a multi-cloud environment? Are there any added challenges, and if they are, what can CISOs do to actually counteract them?
While the cloud initially came up a couple of years back for widespread adoption, the first question was how secure is the cloud? Right. And today I think everybody acknowledges that the cloud is probably more secure than your in-house data center or your own SOC that you have so painstakingly built, right? So the question of how secure is the cloud has been understood by a lot of CISOs and a lot of organizations. But the challenges are slightly more deeper and complex right now, because every organization definitely uses one cloud application or the other. Definitely there is some data going to reside on premise and that is never going to get away. So practically we are living in a hybrid environment, you like it or not, right? We have something residing inside our office or our data center. We are already using some kind of cloud applications. We are planning to migrate something to the cloud or in a hybrid environment. The biggest challenge right now is that age-old, how do I access them? Traditionally, it was always the legacy world. It was always about secure perimeters. The firewalls protected them. Everybody had to just access sitting inside a LAN or a secure place, and firewalls were meant to stop outsiders from coming inside and allow insiders to go outside. All that is gone for a toss right now, right? Because suddenly the whole concept of perimeters vanished. People could be accessing any application from any device wherever they are, and the application could be hosted. We don't even know about it. It could be in the cloud, it could be in your data center. All are now getting seamlessly merged into so that the user experience is maintained. This brings to a very big problem of how do you do secure access. Google has come up with a very interesting way to look at this whole problem, because probably they have the most widest array of applications and the user types from consumer to enterprise. And they recently have been speaking about, since the last 2 years, about a concept called Beyond Corp. Similar concepts like zero trust, software-defined perimeters. In fact, software-defined perimeter is an initiative by Cloud Security Alliance, which has gained widespread adoption by Gartner. So we are seeing now the whole concept of zero trust, software-defined perimeters, and Beyond Corp getting adopted by forward-looking CISOs and organizations. The concept is actually pretty simple. When I'm accessing an application, traditionally I had a user ID and a password. On top of that, I could add a two-factor authentication, right? It could be an OTP or an SMS, right? What is additional in the software-defined perimeters is that you take the user, add a device to it. So you authorize the device. You just don't access a user to access from any device. You take the user, you take the device, verify both of them, and only then grant access. And by default, there is zero trust. So you do not trust any digital asset or any application to grant access to anybody. I'm proud to share that InstaSafe is also doing something on those lines called InstaSafe Secure Access. And we have seen a lot of enterprises in the financial services, insurance adopting from India. But yes, to answer the straight question again, that what is the biggest challenge in the cloud world, cloud native world right now? It's all about how do you ensure secure access from any device, anywhere to applications which could be hosted wherever they are.
All right, brilliant. All right, some very, very interesting takeaways and some brilliant points covered there. And on that note, ladies and gentlemen, we wind up this edition of CSO Alert. If you enjoyed the bulletin, do share your feedback on Facebook and Twitter. We'll be back with more next week. Till then, stay secure.